Hey, everybody. Welcome into the news desk. Parts Counter Guru's news desk. News of the week. How about it, Keith? How are you?
I'm good, man. Did somebody say news?
I did.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, my little drops aren't working, so.
Do you want to restart that?
No. There, it's fixed. All right. News.
Yeah, news. So, again, welcome back in.
I don't need no stinking retakes.
I don't need no retakes, man. This is my good friend Keith over there on the other side. We started a new segment last time. This is our second one where it's just dedicated to news of the week. And we are trying to keep you up to speed on some of the latest information that we get a hold of that's relevant to the industry and beyond. So I want to kick it off. I have a great story.
All right, Jay. Let's. This is so. I'm learning about this story with our audience.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm drawn in.
Yeah, you're really fascinated.
Can you see me leaning in?
I can, man. You're on the edge of your seat.
Okay.
No doubt about it, man. So I think most folks are familiar with who Dave Blainey is. He's a NASCAR driver.
I'm not.
Yeah. Well, his son Ryan is.
All the NASCAR fans just now they hate me.
Oh man, you should know this stuff. But anyway, he auctioned off a 1974 Ford Bronco that was built by Gateway Bronco. They specialize in customizing. They're an authorized customizer for Ford. They use the Coyote 5.0 liter, I think, exclusively in some of their builds. They're pretty awesome. You can buy them. So you should check out their website. It's
go ahead. You got it?
Yeah, it's gatewaybronco.com. It's pretty simple.
It says Gateway Bronco, handcrafted, licensed by Ford. I'm looking at their site right now. I'm kind of curious to know where they are.
They are in Hamel, Illinois.
Hamel, Illinois. Okay,
Yep.
It's got to be the St. Louis area with the name Gateway.
It is.
So Hamel with like Mark Hamill with two L's or just Hamil?
It's Camel with an H.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you like that?
I oughta.
Camel with an H.
Let's see here. I am looking at the map. Oh, this is a really small town. Like tiny. And it is okay. St. Louis. It's it's northeast of the city. It's northeast of Edwardsville. I got it. Okay.
Yes, so these guys, they have a few additions, and I mean they range in price. And I'm just taking this right off their website, anywhere between $150,000 up to $300,000, just depending on the version. So, but the version that we want to talk about is something that Ryan Blainey had commissioned Gateway Bronco along with Aaron Shelby to put together to auction at Barrett Jackson in Scottsdale, Arizona this week. And lo and behold, and it was for a great cause, by the way, which is very near and dear to my heart as well as Keith's. The money was raised for Alzheimer's, whom I lost my mother to about 4 years ago. Keith is currently experiencing in his family with his mother, and so it means a lot to both of us that this thing drew this amount of money. The key thing here is what really happened during this whole auction process. This thing went for a record-breaking, they said a world record for a charity for $650,000, man. And it was set up by the Ryan Blainey Family Foundation, which began because of his grandfather, Lou Blainey, who has roots in the racing industry as well, the racing world. And they lost him to Alzheimer's, and so I just felt it was a worthy mention today. It's a beautiful ride. I think Keith and I will probably put a couple of links up for the Alzheimer Foundation and maybe the Ryan Blainey Family Foundation as well. And so if you feel if you've got a little to give, please feel free to do so at either one of those links. So, but anyway, congratulations to Ryan on a worthy cause, and what a beautiful ride.
Yeah,
man.
Nice job. It's and it seems like well played in terms of the timing too. Because we've got Ford about to we've talked about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I bring that. Yeah, absolutely we have, and that's one of the reasons why I was just doing some research on some more Bronco stuff, because you keep hearing the news of some of the subtle changes that are coming about, and this was headline, and I was not aware of it until yesterday actually.
Yeah,
and I shared a link with you this morning on that, but. Pretty neat. Just so you know, it has a 5-liter Coyote, and for those of you that are not familiar with that, that's it's a 5.0 liter 4-valve per cylinder dual overhead cam V8 that Ford designed to really basically compete with the LS3, GM LS3. And they used it in the GT, the Ford Mustang GTs. And
okay, so. And while we're talking about the whole SEMA Jay Leno Bronco, I just had a ooh moment. Okay.
Yeah.
So Jay, what was the guy Jackson that
Barrett
we did the press release that he did on the Green Hornet at SEMA. We filmed that and live streamed it. What was his name? Was it Craig?
Craig Jackson. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Of Barrett Jackson.
Guys at Gateway Bronco, by the way, if you want some cool video footage of what you're doing over there, I'm from the area and pass through the area to see family all the time. Give us a shout. You can find us on partscounterguru.com. There's an Ask Us a Question link. It's a little tab at the top. Would love to come by and
tour.
See what you're doing. Maybe get some footage that we can put out there. And talk a little Cardinals baseball while we're at it. So
I've got a contact for you there.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I'll get that over to you so you can contact those guys.
Yeah, we'll tag them in the in the video. So that's cool. It's like I'm
Bronco man.
I think the reason that I love doing all these Bronco stories is because we're both fans of the product, and so it's fun to talk about.
Absolutely. I really now want to go find an old one and just have it.
Yeah, right.
Have a project.
Right? Yeah.
That's what I want. So put a Coyote in that thing.
So I have a follow-up from a topic that we covered in the podcast. Now, this is our podcast that's it's the Pop Song Professor.
Right.
But we went into I live in the Nashville area, and there's a Metro Council person that is trying to push an idling law for emissions.
Right.
And if you, I'm not going to make you listen to all that again. But if you want to know more about it, and it's not unique to Nashville, this is going to be happening in areas all around the country. Basically, they're trying to find people that let their cars run for more, in some cases, than a minute in certain areas, and it's kind of ridiculous. But I had a thought, okay? So the biggest issue that you and I had with this, Jay, and Jay pointed out on the podcast that some of the biggest offenders are exempt. So, for example, like emergency services vehicles are modified where they need to get more horsepower to those vehicles, and a lot of times they just yank the emissions control and replace it with something a lot less emissions reducing.
Right.
And look, if your goal is really to stop emissions pollution, then you can't just be giving those people some of those are multiple times more polluting than the standard passenger vehicle, right?
Right.
So this is the realization that I had today. Okay, so one of the things in that bill said that work-related tasks are exempt. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but we read the bill on this podcast, and if you want to know more, again, go check it out. Amazon, okay, I ordered a couple things off Amazon for, I've got my son's birthday's coming up, and here's the deal, Jay. I had 4 items. Mm-hmm. They're all due for delivery today. Guaranteed was the word used on Amazon. Guaranteed delivery today. Okay? 4 items, okay? 2 of them showed up at 7:30 this morning. 2 of them are arriving today, meaning they're not here yet. We're about halfway through the day, okay, as we record this.
Right.
Now, all of these items are being delivered by Amazon Logistics. They're fulfillment by Amazon, okay? That means that Amazon's using their own vans to bring them to me. Not FedEx, not UPS, not the Postal Service, Amazon delivery.
Well,
okay?
and describe what those look like. If you're not familiar with what those Amazon vans look like.
They're Sprinter vans. Usually they've got the tall top on them. A lot of them say Prime on them and they're blue, but some of them are
they
just
got the
white.
little, and they've got the swish.
Yep.
You know, on the side,
the Prime
logo,
logo.
the Prime
Some
logo.
of them are unmarked, but they all look. It's all the same van.
It's all the same, yeah, pretty much.
So here's my issue. Okay, they're getting a pass if this bill passes. No pun intended. They're getting a pass on emissions. Amazon Logistics is basically trying to do in a couple years what FedEx and UPS have spent their entire existence refining, and the U.S. Postal Service has spent their entire existence trying to wreck.
Right.
But they're just not there yet, and it's been frustrating for a lot of people. Well, dude, look, first of all, right out of the gate, you've got the opportunity to do 1 delivery to me today, and you're doing 2, a minimum of 2.
Right.
You could end up doing 3 if you don't break them up in 2 and 2 in those packages. So, I know what you might be thinking as you're watching this. Well, maybe the stuff that is in the second delivery hasn't arrived at the warehouse yet. Yeah, so wait to bring me doesn't guarantee that I'm going to get everything by 7 a.m. Wait till 6 p.m.
Right.
I mean, if we're really worried about emissions and efficiency, like now Amazon's having to send 2 different trucks out to make a stop at the same house twice in the same day.
Right.
That's not good logistics.
No, it's
whatever
not.
your definition of logistics is, that's not good. Okay, but I digress.
That's a whole other podcast about logistics, by the way. We need to we'll talk about that.
They are exempt from this emissions bill if it passes, and yet here they are a big offender in that they could have just completely avoided this whole second pass.
You're driving the point home, which is what we talked about in the podcast, man. No doubt about it. It's an issue, man. So great update on that. Little piece of information for that. So you've got the next story.
No, you can do it. You can do it. You
okay.
This was one that you found anyway.
I did, and I think
I'm
it's
excited.
Really, I figured you would be. So I just found this thing, and I think it's awesome. DeLorean has confirmed that it plans to produce limited runs of the brand new DMC 12s. So if you're a fan of the now classic Back to the Future blockbuster trilogy, the DeLorean Motor Company has just confirmed to Hagerty. This is where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Men's Journal is where I found this thing. We'll give them some props on that. That it plans to produce a low-volume run of its hallowed DMC-12, the early 80s vehicle that developed iconic status and a core cult following after transforming into the time machine in all 3 Back to the Future films. That is awesome.
It is awesome. Now I have a couple questions, and I'm gonna tee this up for you, and you see what you can find here. But then I want to talk about this whole what's going on with DeLorean thing for just a second, because I'm a fan of this. So I'm probably a fan of this because.
By the way, the flux capacitor is not included.
I was going there. Thank you. Time travel not included, right? So
that's exactly right.
So of course I love Back to the Future. One of the greatest, just almost a perfect movie. Okay, but more than that, and that certainly made this car famous. This is an iconic, it was an innovative design, like the whole stainless steel thing and the gold wing doors and just the way it was built with the whole little portal windows on the side. John DeLorean unfortunately wrecked this by making some bad choices in life, but a huge fan of the car itself, with or without the movie. Now, the questions that I want to know is, have they released any visual, concept art or anything like that, or do you have any information on what kind of engine they're going to put in it?
Yeah, so I don't know about the engine, but we'll let's see here.
Okay, so just a quick kind of, here's what's going on with DeLorean. They've been around for a while now. The rights to the company, basically, I'm going to paraphrase this, but ownership of that company was purchased a few years back or so.
Yeah.
And what they started doing was manufacturing parts for the existing DeLoreans to keep them on the road, which was awesome.
Right.
So it's technically still the DeLorean company, but I believe it's run by different. It's not John DeLorean's not involved.
So I've got all that information, and let me go ahead and plug that information for you right now. And that way, because you're very interested in it. So I do have actually a little bit of information on the engine.
And I think it's Texas, right? They're out of Texas. All right. Well, yeah, I threw you a curveball.
I think so. Yes, I think so. The vice president of DeLorean Motor Company is James Espy.
Okay.
He basically said that they're doing a small run of a much upgraded version of the DMC-12. The limited amount of vehicles produced is due to this kind of ties into some other things, is due to the 2015 Low Volume Motor Vehicles Manufacturing Act, which allows automakers to produce small production runs of up to 325 vehicles per year. However, Espy says that its run will likely be smaller than that. DMC has not begun taking any orders yet. So
they're in Humble, Texas, by the way.
Yeah. So check this out. DeLorean had previously made claims that it planned to bring it back in 2016 after the law was first passed. However, under the Trump administration, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or the NHTSA, as we all know it, basically halted the finalization of regulatory details and it delayed the plans, so they couldn't do anything with it.
This sounds like it ties into the RPM Act, which is something we're going to talk about.
That's why I said what I said, and we'll get into that.
So you can. I found on their website. Did you know this? You can pre-order. There's a form.
Okay. Yes, you can pre-order.
It's on DeLorean.com. Do you want to? Are you loaded up on that, or do you want me to?
No, you go ahead with that. I don't have that information right in front of me, but I had read that, yes.
This is what I can tell you. I'm looking at the form right now, is that what Jay said definitely looks to be, there's no maybe about this. It's going to be a very small run. They are going to be very particular, it looks like, from this form, in who they allow to order one of these. They want to know if you currently own a DeLorean. They want to know how you use it. They want to know driving habits. They want to know if you'll submit to a focus group. So there's a lot of... they're not just going to let anybody order one of these. But if you're interested in filling that form out, go to DeLorean.com, and it's right there. It's called a pre-order interest application. Okay?
Right.
All right, back to you.
Well, I was going to tell you that they do say that... that they will be built using new old stock parts.
Yep.
Along with new materials. The updated versions will also benefit from a new 350 horsepower engine, along with an upgraded interior that includes modern tech and connectivity. So there you go, man. So you're going to basically have a vintage vehicle that is a iconic vehicle out of the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew who made it. You knew what it was, and I remember back in the '80s, whenever this thing was out, there was a guy in my my hometown that owned one, and that was just the strangest looking vehicle. And what's cool about this, man, the timing of this thing, is what Elon Musk just did.
Yeah, with the stainless steel,
with the stainless steel Cybertruck. That was the first thing we said the same thing. The first thing that popped in my mind. Wow, this is like the DeLorean all over.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And I kept waiting for the doors to swing up.
Well, and he's borrowed gull wing doors in the Model X, has those.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest issues that I have wanted one for a long, long time.
This is so funny.
One of the biggest issues that I've always had, barriers to getting into this, was those things, as well thought out as they were, and as well as cool as they are, and as durable as they were, they had major engine issues. They used Peugeot for a while. They didn't manufacture their own engines, and the engine was probably the weak point of that automobile. And I just remember, college aged and going into a lot of this, and I was like, yeah, I just knew that if I bought one of these, it was going to be a major project with an engine overhaul, because what those things came with was not reliable. Now, hopefully they've got a solution to that now, and they're not going to go down that same path of sort of just an underpowered, weaker engine.
I was kind of hoping it would be an all electric version. Actually.
Ooh. Well, then you're one step closer to your Mr. Fusion, right?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping it would be. But
the last update before this update, before the one that you just read to us, Jay, on DeLorean's website, and this is interesting. Actually, let me see if you know the significance of this. The last update on their website about that low volume production, which was before the RPM Act, before the regulatory stuff made them put it on hold, is dated October 26th, 2018. Do you know the significance of that day? Yeah,
isn't that the date that was punched in?
Or
is that the dance?
No, that is the time travel date.
Isn't that the time travel date?
Well, it's the 25th and the 26th, but the 26th is the one that he ended up using more in the movie.
Right. So
October 26th is the... But that's actually not the right answer.
That's not?
No.
Okay.
It's my birthday.
Oh, well, yeah. I knew that too, but I wasn't going to hand that out. So everybody, now that you know Keith's birthday, feel free to ship him product to review and... So hats to wear.
Right. So these guys are also fans of the movie if they're doing press releases on that day.
Dude, you got to be a fan of the movie, man. If you're going to buy DeLorean and produce a small batch, I mean, it is the movie really. I mean, it's
the best advertising they could have ever.
Right, as innovative as John DeLorean was with the car itself, they really catapulted with the movie. Bottom line. So, all right. So let's go into the next story. You take this lead. This is your baby, man.
As a former owner, of the 370Z, and for those of you that are, we've got a fan that's always posting pictures of his black. I had the Roadster, which is what Nissan. It's the convertible.
I'm going to give. So
go ahead.
We have a fan. Yeah. I know that guy, but I would like to give a shout out to Zach Miller, who is a big fan of PartsCounterGurus.com.
Yep.
He is a lover of the Z cars.
Well, he's got the black Z, and he's always posting pictures of our hat on it at events.
That's the guy, right? Yep. And he goes to Graham Rahal's performance out there in the outside of Indianapolis.
Yep.
And is always doing the cars and coffee stuff.
So Zach. And everybody else that's a Z fan, including myself.
I know he's got to be just celebrating right now still, man.
I found this on carbuzz.com, but it's been out there. Okay, so there have been some pictures of a new Z car, whatever they're going to call that, whatever displacement horsepower, photographed in the wild recently. And Nissan... more or less, I mean, they commented officially a few months back that they were going to bring out a new generation of the Z.
Right.
So they've, I mean, Nissan's a mess right now, but as official as that you could expect to come out of that organization right now, they've said they've committed to it. Okay. So,
which is great.
Yeah. So now this is the clever part. So you remember, we were talking about the Bronco on the Bronco 2 podcast, and I threw out the idea of just put another company's badge. Like if it's a Bronco and you're testing it out in the wild and you don't want people to see it, like put like Chevy on it or whatever, just throw everybody off. So apparently they have been working on the chassis of this vehicle, and they've just thrown the existing 370Z body on top of it to confuse people.
Yeah, there's a few leaks on it. I don't know. I've got a little information on that of what they intended to look like, because they wanted to obviously pay homage to some
they
of the
always
original,
do. Yeah. Go ahead.
Some of the original Zs. So supposedly the front end on this thing is going to be like the 240Z or the S30. Where it's got the the round headlights as well as like a square mouth, the big mouth on the front.
Yep.
And then the rear end is supposed to pay homage to the 300Z like the 90s, like the Z32 version of that.
Yep.
The taillights are supposedly, so it's going to be really cool to have both of those together. And then we don't know what the in-between is going to be like, but I suspect that they'll try to work it in as closely to some of those Infinity body styles that are out there.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of borrowing between the two over the years. Now, one of the things that CarBuzz mentioned was that it's due to get a fully modernized infotainment system.
Right.
And they said, closely linked with the stunning cabins of the current Altima and Sentra sedans. Okay, so again, as a Z owner, former Z owner, and the Jaguar F-Type, which I sort of look at in that same class, has been criticized for this as well. You're not buying a Z car for the infotainment system.
No.
Sorry. Like, I could care less. Like, I don't care if you just put an AM/FM radio in that thing. Like,
that's right.
I mean, yeah, I had the nav system and all that, and but that's not why you buy a car like that. I mean, you can't have it be archaic, but if you're just trying to basically sell that car on tech, I think that's a mistake. I think that car is a performance track star, and that's where its audience lies. And if you focus on let's put like weird infotainment crap that is over the top, you're wasting your.
It's not necessary, man. I mean, that's like it's a car that's designed to be fun to drive.
Oh yeah.
From the performance standpoint, not fun to drive because you can sync up your phone to it and look at restaurants online.
I just really don't need that ability in a Z car. I just really don't.
If I'm driving that thing, man, I need to be concentrating on the road anyway. Because I will guarantee you, I will be coming at you at a high rate of speed. So look out.
Yeah, right. Well, and look, maybe the in between is, if you're listening to Nissan, just put Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in it, and let them sort of handle the modernization. Yeah. Everybody's going to use their phone, and if you're buying a car like that, you've got a modern smartphone anyway. I would say that's your, and just leave it at that.
Absolutely.
And then Apple and Google can do the updates, and you're done. Right. Right.
So on that note about the infotainment system, when I purchased my 2014 Mini Cooper hardtop S,
notoriously weaker in the infotainment area is the Mini Cooper line. I'm just talking like Yoda now, but
yeah. Anyway, so if you can come out with that, but that'd be great.
Right.
So that's the point I'm trying to make, is that this was mine has the B4820 BMW engine in it, so it has it's stock. It has the horsepower for it's not too bad. It's right around 200, but I bought the vehicle to drive it and enjoy it, not for the infotainment system. Now, I will say this. They had an optional package that came with it, like a heads-up display.
Yeah.
And the infotainment system and nav system and everything, where it has a little in the console, in the center console, you can. When I drove it, I said to the guy, I said, I don't want this. I want next to nothing when it comes to that. I'll take a good stereo and Bluetooth, and that's all I want.
Right.
And he goes, come on over here. Let me show you this one. And people have been staying away from it because they want all this infotainment stuff. And I'm like, well, I want this one. And there you go.
Well, we bought one. We had the Countryman. My wife drove it, and the four-door version. And I looked in that direction too, because we had come from a vehicle before that had a really swank infotainment system. And the sales guy was like, man, don't. It's, go get, like, what is it that you want? And I went, I don't know, navigation. And he's like, just go get a Garmin. Stick it on the dash. It's the same.
Your phones, though, man. I mean, phones today, they have built-in nav systems. I mean, you don't even need. I'd stay away from the navigation systems in cars, man. I just don't. It's just something else to be a problem and distraction.
BMW was behind for a while. They have come a long way in the past few years. It's much better now. They've caught up, I would say, Mini included. But I still just don't care about that in a car like a Mini Cooper. It's just not. This is not a Bentley. I mean, you're not riding in the back seat. It's not. I don't know. All right. I'll stop on that because I could go for days. Hey, let's keep.
And no doubt, Nismo is waiting in the wings because there will be a Nismo version of this thing.
Oh,
cannot wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You'll probably buy another one, won't you? I got this strange feeling, man, that
maybe it's going to depend on. It's just like the Bronco. I need to see it, read the specs on it. I'll let time will decide. So let's move from Franklin to Spring Hill.
Yeah. Wow, man, you guys got a lot going on in your area.
Yeah.
Emissions bills, you got the 370Z coming out. See, Mitsubishi North America is now moving headquarters to Franklin. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. There's some news for you that we didn't even, weren't even going to talk about today.
They
that's happening.
Lots and lots of job postings all over places like Indeed, and they don't even have a location yet.
Yeah. So there you go. So speaking of the area, we'll just dive right into it.
You do it.
Okay. So
I'm just the color commentary, man. I'm like Tony Romo. I just stand here and make stupid comments.
Yeah. That's a whole other subject. But, I think it's great that they're investing so much into that area because there is a lot of automotive industry folks that are employed by several of these plants in the area, not only just for, because you've got Bowling Green, Kentucky plant,
that's an hour north.
Plant, that's an hour north, and then you've got the Spring Hill plant.
That's about
GM
30 minutes to 45 minutes south.
Yep, you've got Nissan. It's just great, man. So, but this is really good news for that area. So GM has invested $40 million into the Spring Hill, Tennessee plant. It's their they call it Spring Hill Global Propulsion Systems plant. They're basically doing this to increase the capacity of the 5.3-liter V8 engines for GM's full-size truck and SUV programs. This particular one, this is something new too. That we talked about this a little bit. So the 5.3-liter V8 engine has dynamic fuel management, and it's paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission. This engine variant is available for select full-size trucks and SUVs, including Chevrolet Silverado, Tahoe, and Suburban, as well as the GMC Sierra. GM's Spring Hill GPS facility currently produces 3 engines that power 13 of GM's cars, trucks, and crossovers. This particular investment adds to the previously announced $22 million investment in Spring Hill, that facility in 2019, and contributes to the more than $2 billion invested in the Spring Hill manufacturing complex since 2010. And the reason why that is a very high production, low problem plant. They have really high marks of the quality of the product that comes out of there. They're employing, and it is a union plant. Is that right?
UAW,
the UAW Local 1853, I believe it is. They have a workforce of around 3,700 people, and that's pretty amazing. So to give you a little bit more history on that particular plant, that plant began operations in 1990.
Not that old. In fact, Spring Hill wasn't really on the map until GM announced they were going to put a plant there.
Well, look, man, Spring Hill wasn't on the map. I mean, look at what's blown up out there.
Right.
The number of, it's just crazy. I mean, how many people have moved to the area. But since 1990, that particular plant has since produced over 6 million vehicles and 4.5 million engines. Spring Hill Manufacturing Plant is the largest GM facility in North America. This is awesome, dude.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's great.
So this is interesting, and there's another side to this that the locals know. Jay knows this because he used to be a local. That plant started as a Saturn plant. Yeah. They were building Saturn automobiles, which was a GM
exclusively
GM subsidiary. Yes. They own Saturn, if you didn't know that. And then Saturn went under. GM folded Saturn. And the plant, I believe, for a period of time went dormant, or
it did. It was a little lapsed,
and it was I didn't know this, but the largest GM plant. Well, GM chose to then say, all right, well, how do we? This was some creative problem solving. It's not well, crap. What kind of car can we invent to make there? It was, well, we don't even have to go in that direction. We need engines. Let's make engines there.
Right.
On the other side of this coin, if you look at the news out of Toyota recently, I think I read this week, they are moving production of the Tacoma, which is the beloved taco truck that people in your area go crazy for, to Mexico.
Ooh.
Did you know this?
I did not know that.
Now, the reason
wasn't that vehicle made in like Alabama or somewhere, or is there an Alabama plant that's made in?
I think either that or Texas. Yeah.
Okay, I know the Camry is made in Alabama. I'm pretty sure of that.
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to move the shells around, and they've got such a high demand for new. There's a new Tundra coming out. Mm-hmm. And so the big trucks and the truck production is in full demand. Mm-hmm. And so what they've decided to do is to take the existing locations in the United States and ramp up production for those vehicles like the Tundra, and they're moving the Taco south of the border. Now, I'm not sure, but I guess my point in saying that was that's a contrast of what GM chose to do, which was, okay, we're not going to stop making cars or vehicles in the United States. Let's just offset some of the workload and make a engine-only plant,
right,
that can keep up.
Which makes sense, and the 5.3 liter V8 engine for GM is the most popular V8.
Yeah, it's in so many things, right?
Outside of the small block, the what was it, the 5 liter as well as the 5.7. Those are the 3 most popular ones, over the years. So yeah, it's good, man. I'm happy for those people in Spring Hill. There's a lot of people that relocated from the Rust Belt down into that area specifically. And so people, the one thing I want to say as well in that regard is that everybody they don't get the full story sometimes when it comes to that, because I know of people personally that moved into the Nashville area. They were given a lot of options by GM, packages to move, to retain their service with the company over the years. So I do think that in the best interest of their workforce, they try to work with them as much as they can. Sometimes, they can't make everybody happy. That's just, that might tie back into that UAW thing that we were talking about way back here on a couple of other podcasts. So, but, hats off to GM for doing that and retooling and getting that plant a little extra life. So congrats to those employees down there. Way to go, GM. So.
All right, let's close with the Barnacle.
So now this is what I can't wait for. I did not know anything about this. You've teased me with it, and I'm telling you guys, this is a good one. So let's go. Go for it, man.
This is near and dear to my heart. Okay, so since the dawn of time, Jay, the cat and mouse game between college students and campus parking police enforcement has been game on. And I am no stranger to that game. I in the 90s, attended Belmont. I graduated from Belmont. And it was a much smaller school at that time. I cannot even begin to tell you how much I despised campus. I don't want to call them cops because they're really not. It's just campus police or whatever. But campus parking and I don't know. Meter maids maybe. But these guys, first of all, it's like, okay, I'm already like massively in debt to go to your school, and now you want to charge me to park on your parking lots? Like, why? Like, I'm supposed to be here, right? I'm paying you to be here, and and now you're going to gouge me for parking. So I had a F-150, and it was a newer F-150.
Is this the F-150 that I know about?
Yeah, well, I had two, one right after the other, and it had lifter problems and all that, right? Yeah. So it was one of those two, and here's the thing, man. I managed to keep a full time. I worked like 40 hours a week, so it was considered a full time job to help pay for school, and so I got myself a little something. I had a nice truck, like I was driving a nice truck, right, making payments on it and all that, and I drove a grown man's truck as a college age, whatever, right? So I would just go park in the faculty parking every time because all the student spots were always taken, and the campus cops never messed with me.
Wow.
Because what student can own a truck like that and park it, and they're parking in it? That's a faculty, and I never had a tag on it. I never had the hang tag, never had any of that. No parking permits. I just would park there. I never got a ticket. Never got a boot, never got a ticket. Now, I learned from my previous vehicle, which I had registered, if you give them your license number, then they know who you are. But they don't, or at least back then, they did not have a way to look up through the DMV. See, they're not tied into the DMV. They can't run your plates.
Right.
They did not have access to law enforcement databases. So when I changed vehicles, I just didn't give them. I didn't register the license plate on the student registration, and they had no way to add that to my bill if I got parking tickets.
Right.
I just wouldn't pay.
Campus cops are like rent-a-cops. As
far as
I'm concerned. They just,
So, needless to say, these boots and all this ridiculous stuff that they do, it's just all trying to outsmart each other. So this looks out of the University of Oklahoma. There's a company that's test piloting a product called the Barnacle. This is straight up ridiculous. It gets its name apparently from, so it's a big giant yellow rectangle. It looks like something out of SpongeBob, and it has big old suction cups on the underside that they stick onto your window. It's just this massive thing that covers up your entire window, and the suction cups are so strong that you cannot remove them forcefully without breaking the glass. Okay.
Right.
So the students and the community has just straight up gone nuts over it. Like they're up. It's an uproar. They're up in arms over it. The so-called Barnacle is a clamp that sticks to the windscreen using suction cups and releases to grip its grip after the parking fine is paid. This is coming from the BBC of all places. Outraged students at the University of Oklahoma shared tips for removing it without paying, as students being educated would do, right?
Yeah, so I wonder how this thing, I guess is it like it's a vacuum type system?
Right.
And then if you're the authorized user of this device, rent-a-cop, campus cop,
you stick it on there.
And then you suction it and it's down. I wonder if this thing can actually cause damage to the windshield unless there is a limiter on it that says, it gets to a certain point and it stops.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's designed to obscure your view to the point that you can't drive. Now, here's the best part. If you want to do one of these, like hang your head out the window and drive off, there's apparently an alarm on it, so it detects motion and it starts going off.
That's crazy. They thought of everything here.
Yeah, so students, here's one student comment. The amount of sheer rage festering in my body right now. This is what I'm in thousands of dollars of debt for. I pay how much to get here, and you continue to exploit us in ludicrous ways for profit, said one student on Twitter. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Point. Yeah. So if the driver had failed to pay more than 3 outstanding fines, a parking warden would attach the Barnacle to the windscreen. Parking warden. That's what we're calling them now.
They're wardens. Okay. So which indicates that a warden, you might be in jail.
Yeah, you're already in prison, right?
You're already in prison. So, oh boy.
So Barnacle is a company. Kevin Dougherty, he works for Barnacle. He's one of their executives. Gave some statements. I mean, it's a clever idea, but it's being compared to holding people at ransom and
it's a boot, like a boot. Yep, it's the next version of the boot.
Anyway, then you've got kids trying to hack it by pulling the SIM card out of it because it's got a mobile network. See, you go on an app and you pay to unlock it, and then it gets updates over a cellular network and it releases the suction. But this turns into a situation where the vending machine where it's all automated and you put your money in and then the food or the Coke or whatever goes right to the edge and stops, right?
Oh yeah,
and you're just beating on it. So
right.
What happens when this thing fails because it's too cold to release or whatever, and you can't get it off, and you've paid your fine?
Yeah. So this is the first university in the U.S. that's trying this, right? Is that what you're saying?
So. It said they'd been renting 5 of the devices for testing.
So it's under testing.
I don't think it's going to go any further.
So this Barnacle thing, and maybe it's reported by the BBC because of the, maybe it's been in use in Europe for a while.
I don't know much more about the company other than this is look. I mean, no offense here, but let's stop trying to find ways to gouge our constituents, our audience, the people that pay our salaries. Right? If you work in a university.
Right.
If you're a government employee, state or local government, and you're just trying to find ways to gouge the existing base of people that are paying. I mean, come on, man. Can we just knock it off?
Right.
Like, can we just find other ways to pay the bills? I don't know.
Right.
Is that too much to ask?
Right. I mean, you've got parking permits, man. Why can't you? I mean, if you got a parking permit, then you have to pay for that, right?
Or why don't we just set a fee and put it in the tuition?
Right.
And then everybody's like, if you've got to charge whatever, right? Like 30, 50, 100, 200, I don't know. Whatever you're charging for parking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess if you have to do it, then add it to the cost of the tuition for that semester. Get rid of these parking wardens. So that's, a salary you don't have to pay. And just let everybody park.
Right.
And then we don't need the enforcement. If you don't pay your tuition, you don't get to go to class, right? So then who cares if you're parking on... I don't know. I tend to, always go for the simplest answer, and I know we're a university and we've got to make it, complicated and all that. But
yeah, it's like you said, it's just another way to get a little revenue in the door.
Yeah,
much like the emission idling thing going on there in your area. So,
well, since you brought up revenue, do you want to go ahead and wrap it up with some helpful links and tips and places that you can find us and follow us and support us?
I can do that, man. First and foremost, thank you to anybody who is listening or watching. It really helps us out. A couple of things, that would help us out. If you would tell a friend, first and foremost, about what we do, and tell them about our website, which is partscounterguru.com. You can and they can navigate through to find many things. First and foremost, our podcast links. There's a link up there that we have. We also have an Amazon link for you, which these things cost us money to put out for you. It's a little way of helping us out. If you shop on Amazon, you can use that link and go over and shop, and it helps us out a little bit. We get a little bit from you. It helps us keep these things out to help pay the bills a little bit, if you will. And like Keith always says, and I always say, it's free to you, but it's priceless to us. It really helps us out. This is why we're able to do what we do. And we would like for you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You go over to facebook.com. That's facebook.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Or Twitter.
Oh, you said Twitter. It's Instagram,
Twitter.
Right?
Oh, God, I did.
You know what?
Subliminally?
That might have been a Freudian slip there because we've been thinking about doing that.
We need to do that. Sorry, Instagram, right. But yes.
Coming soon.
What? Coming soon. We're going to be on Twitter. We're not there yet, but we should. So, but yes, Instagram. Instagram.com/.
That's what I'm here for, man. Like I said, Tony Romo, I'm just here to point out stupid.
Oh, yeah. That's his job. That's his job.
Call me Captain Obvious.
Yeah, Instagram.com/the Parts Counter Gurus. Also, our video version of our podcast, any videos, period, DIY videos, product reviews, you can find us over on our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/the Parts Counter Gurus.
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
You can reach us there. And while you are there, man, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell so you're notified every time a new video comes out. And again, please tell a friend. We need all the support we can get, and we're very grateful to any that we get now. So that's all I have, man. Anything else?
No. Good job, Jay.
Well, thanks, man. I stumbled, but it's okay. I have you to correct those.
Call me Captain
Tony.
Obvious.
Thanks, Tony.
You actually like him.
Well, let me say this. I didn't like him as a quarterback on the field.
See, I can't get past that. That's my. Yeah. I can never forgive him for that and Jessica Simpson. Like,
right. Oh yeah. But I do like him as a he's a very knowledgeable commentator with Jim Nantz during these football games. And if you want perspective of what the offense is thinking about and the defense is thinking about, that he knows his stuff.
Or if you just want to hear him talk about Tecmo Bowl football from the 80s or Madden football from the 90s on video games, in the middle of
right.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody.
Throw the flag.
What's that?
Throw the flag.
Throw the flag. Yes.
Yeah.
That is the news for this time. That is Jay over there. I am Keith. Thank you for watching. And thank you for letting us make you a little bit smarter than your friends. We'll talk to you next time.
Take care.